Hello.
Hey, Louise, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
Well, so far so good.
Did you enjoy your Father's Day?
It was very quiet.
Hmm.
I basically just stayed here and worked at my house in Valley,
Hmm.
which I'm still here. So, and I'll be here
That's good.
tomorrow
Take it
afternoon.
a little at a time.
Pardon?
Adds up. A little at a time adds up.
It does. It does. And yeah, I got when I got here I got here Saturday evening, so all day Sunday I basically spent really cleaning up the yard, and I had a guy come over and weed whack and basically cut everything back, and I got to burn the rest of that big pile of you know uh, trees and everything else that we pulled out off, and to clear the property. So now I actually have a clear driveway. I can actually see my driveway again. Yay. And then I started tearing into the walls in here. And I've got a guy now, he's actually taking off 1/3 of the front porch, opening it up so I can go back in and reframe it. That's going to be an exterior part of the porch again.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as I'm done here, this evening I'll be reframing a wall to divide that porch area from the part that's going to stay part of the interior of the house.
So you're a carpenter and artist.
Well, I used to make furniture and build cabinets
Oh, okay.
once upon a time. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I know my way around a tool shop a little bit.
All righty. Hey, John.
Hey, how we doing, everybody?
Good.
So far, so good.
Good. Are you in Valley? Is that what I understand, Charles?
Yes, I am. I am sitting in Valley as we speak.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Hey, Bob.
Hello.
Robert?
Hey, how are we all doing? There's Bob.
We're here.
Okay. Well, I got a message from Rebecca. Rebecca will not be here today. She had some work done on her mouth, and she can't talk for 24 hours.
Oh, wow. That's serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I told her she could just sit in and listen and use the chat part if she wanted to add anything in, but yeah, I don't know whether she'll do that or not. So we'll see. What happens. But anyway, it's been a nice couple of days, and like I said, I'm going to be here through tomorrow, and then I'll be heading back. Bob and Eloise, since you are here, I will officially let you know there will not be a plein air class on Thursday.
Oh, no. I was looking forward to that lecture you're going to give.
Well, I'm going to give it, but I'm not going to give it on this Thursday. I'll give it the following Thursday. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Well, plus it's supposed to be like 100 degrees out there, and I don't think I would care to do that.
Yeah. Well, we were going to be down at the river, and I hadn't really determined whether we were going to be at the upper or the lower part of the park. If we were at the upper, we would be under a covered area, and there are ceiling fans. So, but as it turned out, yeah, there won't be a class on Thursday. Okay. So.
All righty.
But the following Thursday, and we will be at Lost Corner that week. Okay. I believe it's the.
How are we supposed to find that if it's lost?
Well, that's a good question. For some of us, it's not difficult since we go through life, being lost anyway. So, we're kind of already there.
You got it.
Yeah.
I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
That was
It's okay.
that was good, Bob. That was good.
Yeah, yeah, and and I'm going to see if maybe we can get a model out at Lost Corner. That's always a good location to have a model at. So,
So creating depth in a landscape, you will let us know when that's gonna be?
yeah, that's going to be that week that we're at Lost Corner.
Oh, okay.
Yes, how to make things look like they go back. And in fact, we'll probably talk about it today, since we were at Ray's on the river, and that seemed to be one of the big challenges is how you get all that stuff to move back. And did you send me anything, Eloise?
I hope I did. I try to do it the day off so I won't forget it. I don't know. Some sketches from Friday.
Really? Okay, let me go back and let me take a few minutes and look at that, because
Yeah, when I do the same thing, Eloise, try to send in right away after class so that I don't forget it.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. Now, John, I've got yours.
Okay.
It's just Eloise's.
Okay, I'm
that
gonna
I'm
look. I'll look again.
Well, here, let's see. Maybe I just didn't go down far enough. I don't know.
The 17th, yes, I sent something on the 17th. I'll send it again. I sent
yeah.
three.
Oh, no, I got it. Okay, yeah, drawings.
Mhm.
But you didn't send me anything from Lost Corner, right?
I didn't? Oh,
Mm,
I don't know, but I can
okay,
send it
so-
now, I guess.
Yeah, if you don't mind, and I'll download them real quick, and
All right.
that way we can include them.
Okay, doke.
While we're going through stuff, right?
Okay.
Yeah, why not? Let's see.
Hey, Susan.
Hi, how are you?
But
Hi.
Hi,
6. Excuse me. Hi, Susan. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
So far, so good. And let's see. This is Eloise. Save that part. Yeah, because you got a couple of drawings here. Want to make sure to get those. It would be handy, wouldn't it?
Okay, it's on the way.
All right. There you go. All right, so I got your drawings. Let's see, something to laugh about. Okay. Huh. I don't know how I missed that, because I saw Rebecca's. Uh-huh. Right, there's the one. Okay. Hmm. Okay, I'm waiting. Where are you, Eloise?
Okay, it's a long trip up there from here.
I guess. Huh. Yeah, because I ain't got it yet.
Uh-oh.
Get something from Fulton County about Election Day. I don't really need that. All right. Hey, Gene,
Hey,
how you doing?
good. I wanted to find out about Thursday. I'm still coming on. Which level do they drop me off at?
Well, and that's I'm glad you mentioned that, because actually Thursday we're going to cancel that class.
Okay.
Okay.
Whew. Okay.
And the reason, well, there's several reasons we're going to cancel that class. But one is because it's going to be 100 degrees or higher.
Right.
So it might be just a little bit too warm
Okay.
to get everybody
I
out there.
need to cancel my ride, but I was double checking because they asked me which level. So,
Okay. But let me also let you know the week following, okay, will be Lost Corner. And Lost Corner should be within the range for you to go to, and it's fairly level, and it would be a good place for you to go. It's fairly easy to access, okay?
okay. And is there a particular drop spot? I mean, is there
Yeah, in the driveway, yeah, or in the parking area for a
in the
Lost
park,
Corner.
in the parking area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure because you said something one day that it may be hard to walk a long walk or a fairly long walk or something out there.
It is if you want to go way back down the trail, but you know the house from the driveway is maybe 100 yards. You know, it's probably less than what you walked from the parking lot to Barrington Hall.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind walking some, but if it's really a long way, I'm not sure. And hilly, I don't know if I'll make it back.
Yeah,
Back up.
and the thing is with Lost Corner, it's really pretty flat
Okay, good.
in that upper part back to the house, and
Okay.
there's plenty to paint around there, and that's mainly where I'll be hanging out,
Okay.
that day anyway.
Okay.
So you won't be alone.
I'll
Okay.
just make one ride for the following week instead of this week. I'll go upstairs tonight and change it.
Okay. Yeah. And
Thank
so
you.
wanted to make sure to give you a heads up about that.
Yes, I'm. It so happened I just made it home just now from a physical therapy appointment. I don't usually get home this early, so I was able to come, and I'm glad you hadn't started yet.
Okay. All right. All right. Well,
Particularly to get this information, because
Yeah.
I would have been out there by myself Thursday.
well, you would have, and that would not be good. We would not like that
I'd be
to happen,
alone.
actually. Yeah, we that would not be a good thing. All right, so I gave it a little time. Let's go take a look. Did Eloise show up? No, the last thing I got was from Susan.
Okay, I'll send it again then.
Well, here, I'll just refresh the page. Maybe it will come in, No? Okay, yeah, if you would. And you're sending it to charles.scoggins@fultoncountyga.gov, right?
I don't know. Let me see.
Yeah, go take a look. Make sure that we
It's
got
the same address I usually send them to.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well,
Let me see if I can
in
find
that
it.
case, it should come, but hopefully this week instead of next week.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. While we're waiting for that to come in, I'll keep that window open. I'm going to start off, and I'm going to share something that actually Rebecca, who could not be here today, sent. And it's evidently she has known this person for many, many years. It's Larry Hooks.
Hey,
And I'm not like real familiar with
yes.
his work. Yeah. But
What happened now?
Jean's on the phone. At any rate, unmute. Okay, she's muted now. Yeah, I want to share this with you. This is a virtual tour of the show and the gallery. Okay, so we're going to try this and see if it really works. Okay. All right. Everybody see an art gallery?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with the arrow and all that.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to have to move you around in this, okay? it's kind of the way it works. And I think I played around with this and tried it. The thing I don't really like about this kind of presentation is you can't really get very close to the work. Okay. Yeah. So it's really kind of limited that way. But, okay. So it's the Sherpa Art Show honoring Larry Hooks. Okay. And, you know, it looks like, I mean, this is kind of reminiscent to me of some impressionistic paintings that we've seen before.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. And then when you get over to this wall, like in this corner, you know, it gets a little more abstract. And, you know, these big watercolor flowers are beautiful. I mean, they're really lovely pieces. And pretty impressive, really. Now, this being a virtual art show, I don't know if those paintings were really that scale on that wall. I mean, you know, you can do a lot of things, you know, when you're building these things, like make the pieces bigger, things like that. They might really be quite small. And Rebecca's not here to really give us the details of it, but we have a nice little sculpture piece there. Kind of reminds me of a Pez dispenser. Anybody remember Pez?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you just flip the head back and a piece of candy comes out. Yeah. And then there's some more sort of abstract things and a couple of more figures over here. It's a very small show, by the way. It's just that one room. But you know, it gives you an idea of what was there. It's not like really going to it. But... Anybody got any thoughts about any of the stuff that you kind of saw?
Yeah, you're right. I
What
think
was the artist's name?
Well, that's the thing. It's actually 4 different artists,
Okay.
but it's in honor of a particular artist by the name of Larry Hooks, who I really don't have a lot of background on Larry. I don't know him personally or anything. I'm not really that familiar with his work, but Rebecca sent this in. And it's an interesting format, you know, having it as a virtual art show. And so I thought I would try it. You know, just kind of see what you guys thought about it. So, anybody else? Bob, you were gonna.
Yeah, but it would be nice. I agree with you that it would be nicer if you could pull in closer to the paintings, because
Yeah, that would really make a difference.
yeah, it was certain. I'm certain we're missing a lot
Right.
in this, and I'm, you know.
Yeah, I've actually used some of those virtual applications, and some of them really do allow you to kind of like move from like a wide angle shot like this down to just a specific painting and be able to kind of get in closer. For whatever reason, you know, this one wasn't set up that way, or it doesn't work that way. You know, so it is really kind of limited in that sense. Yeah, and there's some that I would really like to like really get in there and see more clearly, but no go. Anyway, all right. So you know, you guys came, we saw, and okay, so much for that. All right. Eloise Bradley, guess what?
Good.
Your email came in. Yeah.
Alrighty, all right.
All right, so give me a minute. Let me see if I can download something. There it is. Lovely painting. And I'll add it to the stack, and then we'll go through it. See? It's nice when things work, you know?
Happens occasionally.
Yes, it's, you know, every once in a while. You know, fortune, misfortune, whatever, it smiles on us, and we can actually get stuff done. All right, there we go. All right, now it's in the mix. Now we can open all that back up, and we'll start going through what you guys sent in. Anybody interested, you know, this is just a little side note. Anybody interested in track and field?
Well,
Not me.
Not really.
not really.
Doesn't sound too overwhelming.
Yeah, yeah. I love the enthusiastic response I got on that. You know, crickets. Okay, yeah. Well, I do. I get excited about track and field because I used to be a distance runner. And, you know, actually, what I wanted to share with you is that there's a young girl, very young, actually. She's only a junior in high school. And she absolutely devastated the American 5,000 meter record. Almost by, not by just a little bit, but like a whole 17 seconds.
Whoa.
I mean, she just blew the field. I mean, she lapped everybody in the field twice, not once, twice.
Wow.
Wow.
It was amazing to watch. I mean, it was just, you know, women's track and field has just changed, you know, amazingly. I mean, there's just some really, really good talent out there right now. And world records are just falling everywhere, you know. And particularly this year, it seems like a lot of that's happening with, there's about 7 or 8 different American female runners who are just killing it. So anyway, all right, let's start looking at artwork. But that's what I've been doing in the evening, is checking out the, all the NCAA races, the last couple of days.
That looks good.
Yes, doesn't it look good? Wouldn't you like to be there right now?
Yes.
Sitting there under those big shady trees, okay? So this is Mr. Bob Homer. And Bob, this is oil, right?
This is oil.
Okay. And I bet none of you can guess where this was at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Silence again. Okay.
Rays on the river.
Okay. See, somebody said it. Yay. Okay. Yeah. So this was painted alla prima, or plein air, at Rays. And Bob, did you work on this much once you got home, or is this kind of the way it was?
No, I put the trees in front of the in the front area, and then on the left hand side behind the tree, it looks kind of silvery looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wet.
That was the light that I have here when I took the picture. That reflected off the paint. It's really green. It's not gray.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You got some hot spots there.
Yes.
Yes. You know, and we kind of talked about this before. If you want to try to get probably the best lighting you can get to photograph a painting, and particularly anything that's wet, if you take it outdoors and you go to the side of the house that's not in direct sunlight, but like in shade, and you just, you know, either prop it up or hang it and then photograph it, you'll be amazed at the color saturation and how good that photograph will really come out. You know, I know it sounds crazy, you know, to go to a place where it's supposedly, you know, shady, but it really does help, and it knocks out all of that glare because you're getting, you know, sort of really diffuse light, you know, in those areas, and so it gives you a much more even shot, and the color saturation is you know, pretty strong.
I like your water.
Yeah, he did some nice you know, light and reflections, you know, in there. So let me ask you this, Bob. Now that you've done this, okay, and you were out there painting, if you had to do it again, what would you do differently?
I would work on the background more. I did, and then I added some, and then tried to take some away, and the background never really floated my boat that well. The distant tree line wasn't that far away, so you didn't get that sense of. I mean, it's pushed back some, but you didn't get that real distant look like, you know, you like paintings like this to have. So I would try to fix that. And I would do some more work on the tree trunks. They're a little flat looking. And try to get some shape or dimension into those guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was going to say to you, you know, being out there, you know, the same day you were, if you just looked across the water, it didn't seem like there was that much difference. But if you squinted your eye down, you could see that there was a remarkable difference between those trees that were further away on the bend. And they were much, well, different parts of the day, they were much lighter and much more muted.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, but you really had to squint your eye to see that. You know, just looking at it, you really couldn't. Yeah, you really couldn't tell. And that's why when you're painting from life, and particularly plein air, you really want to squint your eye down and look at that whole landscape to really get a sense of what the values and the intensity of the color is doing. Because again, if you're just looking at it like you would normally look at anything else, it's, you know, it's not going to separate the way that it would if you just squint your eye down. Okay, so that's important. And then we have this lovely painting. Okay.
I've made a lot of changes since I said that. I couldn't get her head right, and I was having trouble getting her nose right, and I finally get there. But sadly, the photograph I took of her, she's got a real sour expression on her face for some reason or other, and I certainly don't want to put that on it.
Okay, yeah, probably not. But you know, it would still give you enough information on the light and the structure that, you know, you'd probably be able to pull it off. You know, you just you know, don't wrinkle up her mouth so much, right? That's all. Yeah, I think, well, I posted my painting on Facebook, and not everybody here, but a lot of you know this individual. His name is Larry, or Lawrence Ligner, that went to the Benson Center. He commented, and his comment was, "She looks sad." So it's,
yeah.
But you know, yeah, you know, that's what you get sometimes. And it's not a portrait, you know, it's you know, it's way too small to be a portrait, but it's, you know, it's enough to get a likeness. And looking at what you got, you know, I mean, I know who this is. So, you know, it's, you know, you got pretty close for the time that you had. And you did this in what, about 3 hours?
Oh, less than that.
Yeah. Yeah, because well, she got there at about 10, and
Mhm. And then, yeah, well, yeah, maybe, yeah, about 3, maybe.
all right. And then this is from Friday.
Right.
So now, you know, since most of you made the Friday drawing class, give me some feedback on how did you like working with a live model on Zoom?
I liked it, except it moved so fast, and it made me move fast, and I left out some things, but I guess I got the important things in. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, it was supposed to move fast. Again, it's pushing you to get the gesture and some of the proportions and movement down, and not have enough time to get caught up in the details. Now, this particular drawing is, I think that was a 20-minute drawing, right, Bob?
Yeah. Well, yeah, then you added some extra time.
Well, yeah, it was 40 minutes total. We did the same pose twice. So this was the long pose. And these were the gestures.
Right.
Okay. And again, you know, you've got, you know, some sense of the movement. You know, I would still say you seem to be mainly staying kind of on the outside and kind of doing the silhouette. I do see the gestural line through some of them. And I guess you know, this is in pen, which is good. You know, I love the fact that you're doing it in pen, you know, because it stops you from worrying about erasing it, right?
Right.
But I would ask, I guess, when you're doing your gesture, okay? In a lot of cases, when I'm looking at that gestural line, it's kind of fuzzy looking. It's like, you know, you're doing what we kind of start and stop, you know, and kind of inching along rather than just making
doing it.
Yeah, like one line,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And if I were going to give you the speech that Barbara Bradley would give you, it would be that you're not drawing with authority.
Okay.
Okay.
And she would be absolutely correct.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Not drawing with authority, that means that it looks, you know, because of the line work, it looks tentative. It's like, well, I'm not sure, you know, is it here or is it here? So you got multiple marks, right? And you're restating. And in Bob's case, he's restating all the way along the outside of the figure, you know, and also with even the gestural line, it's all broken up and it's just little short strokes, right? Because he's not really sure where he's going. And, you know, so visually what that tells you is, okay, you know, he's kind of lost. He doesn't really know. And he's not very confident about what he's drawing.
Because I learned like that by taking short strokes, and mine is not taking advantage of the gestural line too, because I learned to draw like that, I guess, as a child, and I've stuck to it by making short strokes. So I need to show some type of authority, right?
Yes, you do. Yep. That would be, yes, that would be the lesson to learn here. Okay, and you know, to that point, and I tell people often this, it's a short drawing. You know, it's only a 2 or 3 minute drawing. No one at any time in the future is going to sit down and look at that sketchbook and go, you know, her leg can't be in that position, right? You know, that's not a conversation you're going to have. You know, and if you look at like a lot of the old masters drawings, things like that, you know, they didn't do everything right all the time. You know, Leonardo da Vinci didn't get everything absolutely correct. But when he made a line, you know, or, you know, he drew a leg or an arm, he did it with authority. He just, you don't see that he inched along or that, you know, he made like multiple marks, you know, moving it in and out to try to get it in the right place. He just put a line down. And what that basically says is that, you know, to the viewer later on is, okay, the artist who drew this, that's what they saw. And that's, you know, that's what they put down.
But it's very difficult to do that.
Well, it isn't really. It's a habit, okay? And I know, you know, it's like you're looking at it and you're going, well, it's not really quite that way. But if that's a statement you made, then go with it. Okay. Again, no one is going to come back and go, you know, her leg really wasn't like that.
But if you're doing the line, it seems to me that's where I have the problem then of the light source on a fine line or a dark line, heavy line.
Yeah. Yeah. And
If you're just drawing linear, it almost all comes out the same line tone.
mm-hmm. Well, and again, you know, that's a difference in kind of the tool that you use. You know, if you were drawing with Conte, you'd be able to make the line thicker and thinner, right? By just angling it and or the pressure. Drawing with a pen, like a fine tip pen,
Right.
like a micron pen or something like that, it's more difficult because you're going to have to go back and on the dark side, you know, restate the line and make it heavier and thicker than the light side, you know, if you have time to do that. Because with a micron pen, you can't do it with pressure or angle.
Right.
It's going to make, you know, a very consistent line. Now, that's a good reason not to draw with a micron pen, and instead maybe go to a brush pen. It's just as permanent. It's a lot more expressive, and you can really vary the line weight. You know, of course, that gives you more to think about as you make that line.
What was that called again?
A brush pen?
A brush pen.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's lots of brush pens out there, you know, and they come in a variety of colors. And, you know, one of the ones that I really like that I use is it's Sakura is the name of the company who makes it. You know, and it's part of that micron pin set. You know, they have like the real fine little nibs, but they also, usually in those kits, they also have a brush pin as well. And pretty much so for any lineal work that I'm doing, I use the brush pen so that I can vary the line. And then I use the fine lines, you know, the fine, medium, and thick lines, basically to lay in value or shade or tone. Yeah.
I do have a set of the Sakuras brush pens. If anybody would like to see it.
Yeah, yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I'm
How do you spell Sakura?
Sakura.
Yeah, kind of the way it sounds.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, for some reason, Bob, though, your video is not showing.
Oh, that's because I had to turn it on. How about that? How about
There
now?
we go. Yes.
It's amazing what happens when you turn it on.
Uh-huh. Here, let me stop sharing for a second, okay?
Okay.
All right, there you go. All right, everybody see those?
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yes.
They come in a nice little package, and there's like 6 or 7 pins in there.
Are those permanent ink pens?
Yes,
Yeah,
they are.
They are. Yep, they are permanent.
Are they erasable or
Pardon?
are they erasable?
No, they're permanent. See,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the idea. You know, we saw a video last week, I think it was, about drawing with a pen, so
Yeah,
it's
I-
not
I-
erasable.
Okay.
It gets you over that bad habit of, ooh, I didn't get it perfect. I'm going to erase that and go back and make it perfect. Well, the 350th time after you've erased it and put that line down, then you're like, oh, finally it's perfect. Well, okay, but the model has moved on. You know, she's on the,
We're out.
yeah, you know, basically the whole modeling session is over, and you have the one gesture drawing, right? So, okay.
Okay.
I know that's a, you know, a silly illustration, but okay. All right. So yeah, you know, let's try not to be so iffy about these, but you know, I mean, overall, you get the idea, you know, the movement. It just could be better, right? And then there's your experimental mixed media piece here.
Mhm.
Okay. And, you know, I like where it's going. I guess my question is, now, is this in oil as well?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like oil. 'Cause you got some actual texture to the paint and the paint strokes. Okay. One thing I would caution you about, okay, and again, this is a Barbara Bradleyism, okay? It's about the folds in the sleeve,
Mhm.
or folds in general. Let's see. There it is. Okay. Yeah, like right in this area.
Mhm.
They're kind of repetitive, and they are really a little bit too similar to each other, right?
Okay.
Her statement to you would be something like, you could do with a lot less of them. You only use the ones that really emphasize what you're trying to say about the arm being bent, or, you know, the fabric being bunched up. So you could get away with like maybe 2 or 3 of them instead of like 7, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. And it would have been just as effective, and it would have been a cleaner looking drawing. And you could have spent more time thinking about how you're going to make each one of those, you know, lines to indicate the fold, how you're going to make it different, you know, so that it's not repetitive, you know, by making one heavier, one lighter, you know, yada, yada, yada. Maybe one softer on the edges, right?
Okay. Okay.
But, you know, as far as, you know, the figure, the background, I mean, it's all working, you know, really nicely. I guess, you know, he was obviously sitting on something, right?
Standing.
Huh?
He's standing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Standing.
Sitting on. You mean some kind of a?
Yeah, like a table surface.
He's floating at the moment.
Right, he is. He is levitating. Actually.
Okay. Well, this is Confucius. I think he can do that, right?
I don't know. You know, I didn't know that he could levitate, but okay.
Hey, why not? Why not?
Why not? Okay. Anyway, I was going to suggest that maybe, you know, maybe you find a horizontal line in there, and then in the lower, say, quarter to a third of the painting, that you actually, you know, put in a surface that he's standing on, and maybe even.
So wouldn't that detract though from the background, which is the paper that you're highlighting? I mean,
No.
as far as the figure, you're highlighting the paper, and if you make it look like the paper is part of a surface,
Mm-hmm. Well,
it seems to me it would defeat the purpose.
yeah. I'm thinking no. I'm thinking if you go, okay, like maybe 1/5 of the way up the page, right? Maybe to like right here where these two or this design crosses right here. And if there was a horizontal line running behind him, see, and then this were, you don't have to take out the paper totally, but if you just kind of glazed over it and unified it with a color or something like that, it would look kind of reflective actually that way. And so it's like he's sitting on a table surface, it's reflecting the background, possibly. If you made it opaque, then it would just be, he's standing on some kind of surface. But that would ground him so that he's not floating, right? Any thoughts?
No, I gave you my thought.
Okay. Um, well, maybe we'll come back and we'll play with that one a little bit.
I would think maybe just maybe one side, like the back with the darkest fold is just a very short line. Half of that space would be enough to delineate it.
Are we talking about the folds, or are we talking about creating
The back of the figure, below the sleeve.
Yeah.
Just a partial line there, maybe a partial on the other side, just a little hint of a surface line.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to paint the whole table or something like that it's sitting on. I mean, you could just, like you said, make a horizon line, right? And that, or an edge, and that would ground him on something. If you wanted to make it look like top of the table or something like that, you could do that. All right. For those of you who did not come, this is Grace. And Grace is out being graceful, sitting out by the river. Okay. And so this was my view of her. And let's see. Then we have this group. This is where we were. As you can see, we were not out in the direct sunlight. We were all staying under the trees, and relatively cool for that day. Please notice, how shady it is. Even around where the model is. Yeah, like here. But then not far from it, see what the sunlight does? It's so intense, and that's green grass. There's really no green there. Because the light just absolutely, burns out, any of the color, right? And, this is a constant problem, when you're trying to paint, outdoors. Even over here, I mean, it looks white. It could be concrete or something, but the fact is that was all green grass over there. And, but that's just how strong the sunlight was, versus the shadow. There's another angle, of folks out there painting. And I think you can recognize most people, right? Like this is Eloise and this is Brock. Barbara is over here. I was sitting on the bench, but I had to be behind Eloise so I could take a picture. And then you can just see the top of Bob's head over here coming, out of the chair. And he's painting over there. So, we had a tough day. It was really hard having to hang out there by the river. Enjoy.
And those nice cushioned chairs. And,
I know,
and a beautiful restaurant to eat.
Yeah, it was
really rough.
It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. I mean, I don't know what I can say. Anyway, there's my kind of quick painting of Grace sitting out there, and And, like everybody else, the struggle is, trying not to, make the background too busy, to compete with the midground and the foreground. So I definitely, faded what was across the river. I faded that back and grayed it down to have it contrast, the tree that was closer to her and me. This is kind of the midground here. So this is the bank closest to us. And then you get the, the grass, mainly with a lot of shadow on it and just a few little spots, of light filtering through it. This is the morning view that I had before anybody got there. And I got there about 7:30. And well, I should say I was set up out there at about 7:30 to start painting. And this is kind of what we were seeing, at that point in time. And, that's the
Which
painting.
was awful.
Pardon?
The torture of the scenery was just awful.
Yeah,
Must have been
Hey.
terrible.
I know.
Must have been terrible.
Yeah. So there's what I did, out there. And so this was from like 7:30 to like 10 o'clock, and the other was from really about 10:30, 10:45 to about 2. We ended our session a little bit early because it was, even though we were under the shade, it was still a little bit warm. And so we went in and we had a late lunch, some of us. Okay. These are Eloise's drawings. Okay. Now, Eloise,
Yes.
oddly enough, your figures don't look like they're furry. Okay. So,
Oh, well, they're so light, you can hardly see them.
well, no, you can see them. I can see them fairly well.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine.
But, for the most part, you're making a pretty direct, fairly simple line. You're not going back in and restating a lot. Now, you are, kind of working on the silhouette, or the edge of the model more than working across the figure in most cases. But, at least in one case, I see a gesture line, from, the bubble, of her head all the way down to, where the foot would be planted at.
How do you determine that? You look at the, you bring the line down through the supporting foot or leg or something, the strongest one, or what? What do you do?
Yeah, which usually I go to whichever leg has the weight on it. Okay. That's the leg that I want to go to because it's usually the one that's going to anchor the figure, right? Sometimes, depending on the pose, like for example, this pose right here where she's kind of stretched out, maybe a good gestural line would be to start up here at the fingertips and just, it's a kind of a curve, all the way out to where that toe is, right? Nobody says that the gestural line has to be like real interesting. It's just you're trying to get the angle and the movement. And the thing I find, in putting down a gestural line, when I'm doing that, I'm really looking at what the figure is doing. And whatever I see, if there's a curve to her back or anything like that, I always try to push it about 10 to 15% more. And the reason being that, I know myself and I know that my brain, when I'm looking at that figure and what they're doing, my brain is trying to make them stand straight up and down. All right. And that's not what they're doing. So you have to kind of exaggerate it just a bit. Right. And what you'll find is that you'll think that you're exaggerating, but in fact, you're not. It's actually closer to what's going on up there, really. So
now this to me is the perfect example of what I was talking about with Bob's when you were saying to do a linear line.
Mhm.
There's no change or definition in the line.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. She didn't.
So
Yeah. Now she was using.
what would you do if you're doing like a gesture? Go over the dark side, or how would you do it?
Well, okay. When you look at the figure, let me see if I can find an example of one for you. You know, when I look at a figure,
But even here, looking at Eloise, and say the one in the middle, say the light was coming from the upper right, would you just then go ahead and darken or make a heavier line on that left hip curve?
yeah. Well, ideally, you know, what you would do is you would notice that the light was coming in, like you said, from the upper right. And so the line, see, can I find my, yeah, there it is. Say this side of the face, right? You know,
Yep. Right.
if that was the thickness of the line on the light side, when she got
Right.
over to the shadow side, you would angle your pencil a little bit and maybe put a little more pressure and try to make a darker edge there to indicate that
Okay.
a tone
Okay.
or a value attached to it. Same thing all down, you know,
Right.
the left-hand side of the leg, where maybe this part of the leg remains lighter, right? Same thing
Right.
here. This would be a light line. This would be a thicker line, right?
So the thicker line is on the shady side, right?
Yeah, normally, yes. Yeah.
But if you're doing a 1-minute gesture, you don't have really time to go and worry about your line thickness and.
Well, okay. I will disagree with you about that. In fact,
Okay.
yeah. You know, if
Well,
you,
for the amateur.
yeah, if you leave out extraneous things like fingers, right? You know, you don't have to complete the shape on, say, the foot, right? Maybe really all you need for the foot is this bottom line right here, right? And you can vary it, you know, so maybe this is lighter and then it gets thicker as she gets more pressure on the toe. I know it's a lot to ask, you know, but you got to look, you got to make some observations and some decisions, and then try to do it with that line. And
No, because I've been conscious of that on the ones we've done, and you've been instilled in my brain to be conscious of the line. And I say when you're doing just the quick gestures, that's what I said. How do you and not get the scratchy lines?
yeah, well, okay. So the simple answer to your question is you draw less, but you draw more accurately.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not about getting all the way around the figure.
No, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like whatever you observe, you know, trying to make it a more accurate statement. You know, light side, shadow side, hard, soft, right? Yeah. And, you know, 2 minutes is actually a very long time.
Yes. Right.
You know,
Okay.
a minute is a little bit tight, but, you know, 2 minutes is actually a fairly long time. So,
I'm not on that level yet.
yeah, but that's how you get there is you try to incorporate some of that into it. And you'll find that the more you do that, the more you start making those observations up front and making those statements. So, rather than going back and trying to restate it. And I know it's frustrating, but who said that art wasn't going to be frustrating? You know, I don't think anybody promised you that. You know, it can be at times. It's, you know, why do you think that they talk about artists and how they struggle? You know, because, you know, they're trying to adapt their brain as well as their hand and eye coordination and everything to see a lot of stuff at once and express it, you know, in a way that it makes sense, right? rather than having to go back and restate it. Because we all know what the model is going to do, in about a minute or two. She's going to get up and move, right? And the same thing happens if you're out there drawing in the field from life. That person's not posing. They're standing there with their dog or whatever. And they may stand there for, just maybe a minute or two. And so you've got just a few lines that you can put down to try to capture that, before it's gone. So, all right. So this is one of your longer drawings, I believe. So, basically you've got the pose, you've got the proportions. You had a lot more time, to think about the types of lines and things that you make. And you did go back in and, pardon me, you filled in, some dark light areas. So the contrast here on this arm, that kind of acts as a heavier line to the shadow side. The same thing here on the inside of the arm, and then the inside of the leg, right? Again, if you got better at that gesture and varying those lines and looking at light and shadow during the gestures, you could have put that down a lot more efficiently rather than going back in and restating and building up, these darker areas as much. So, just something to think about. Okay.
Mhm.
Um,
Alrighty.
you know,
I
kind of
couldn't
the
get
same
that
thing here.
stool right. I don't know what happened to that stool. I couldn't get it right by anything. I spent a lot of time on it rather than,
Well, it's the skinny butt stool, right?
oh, okay.
You kind of, you made it fit her hips, and you made her hips small, so you made the stool small to fit it. But you got a stool there, so she's not levitating, in the air, and you actually got a lot done. And I think this was a 20-minute, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or yeah. Yeah, because she really did two long poses, and one she repeated. So, and then here is your
Oh, I like that.
yes, yeah, yes, very nice painting. For a plein air painting. And how big was this? Like 11 by 14, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't real big, and that's the wonderful thing about plein air, is that 11 by 14 is really kind of a large canvas to be trying to paint on, because you have such a short window of time. But Eloise was, pretty good at, getting all the elements in there and getting the trees and things to sit forward of the background. I'm looking at the area from the left-hand side to the right that's back here in the background. And, we talked about this earlier, but really muting, even these darker values back here, I would probably have made them a little bit lighter. Again, to say that this area here is really much further away from me than this area here. And the way you treated it was pretty much the same.
Mhm.
And so that kind of flattens it out a little bit in the background. And when I say flatten it out, I don't mean that you
No
don't
depth.
get any forms, but it's, we know this is closer to us than this, and yet there are very similar colors and values and intensities.
Mhm.
Okay. And that can't really happen.
Okay.
You know,
That's why I need to hear that lecture you're gonna give on depth.
Yeah, about creating distance and depth. Yep.
Did you ever find your keys?
Pardon?
Did you ever find your keys?
No,
Oh,
I did not. I went home, I got my spare key, and I've been through my car. I have no idea where that key went to. Yeah, it's gone. So now I'll just have to go out and get a duplicate key made, from Kia.
Just leave it on the floor.
Leave it on the. Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mute myself.
okay. Well, I thought you were talking about, or giving me advice to just leave my key on the floor.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I probably.
Yeah, and make sure you lock it.
Yeah, it's probably what I did. But yeah, I can't find it. So, oh well. Yeah.
maybe you can check back with the restaurant and see if somebody turned in something.
Yeah, I was going to, when I got back in town, I was going to check and see if anybody had come up with a key for a Kia. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to do that because I've been in Valley. So, but yeah, I'll be getting back there, and yeah, it would be nice if I didn't have to go out and get another key. Those are a little expensive, for those car companies these days. So to get a duplicate. So,
I don't see my drawing in the lineup here. The seated girl on the stool.
Yeah.
I sent it in right after class like Eloise did.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought I saw it. I thought I had done.
You there? Wait, I think you passed it. I think you gave it to Rebecca.
Oh, did I give it to? Oh, wait a minute.
Where was that?
This
I looked
one?
almost. Next one down. Further
one?
down. Further down. Next one. Yeah, that one's mine.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I knew I saw it. Okay. So evidently I mislabeled it. I'm sorry. Okay. So let's take a look at your waterfall first, though. Okay.
Okay.
So
That I will call a study. I'm trying to work out how to get the water looking like it's going over the jagged rocks. And I'm not too successful, and I wanted to see what I could do.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I mean, you got the idea that it's a waterfall. Okay. But it's kind of flat, right?
Yeah.
And one of the reasons it's flat is that you don't have enough contrast, really, like in this area, right in here, because there's some rocks sticking out there.
Right.
And so, and it's also closer to us. So
correct.
There would be a higher degree of contrast there than there would be back here. Okay.
So you mean the rock then would be actually darker? Where I have rock showing? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the rocks would be maybe darker in value. The edges would be crisper and sharper.
Yeah, sharper. Yeah.
Right. Even in the water, maybe there's some more intense color, and you've kind of done that with the blue. But maybe, and not everywhere, just little touches here and there. Maybe you could push that even more.
Okay.
Either a blue or a green or something like that. That has a little more intense color. If you did that and you kept it, all down in this area, and this would look closer to us than
right.
Okay. And so my suggestion would be just go back in and really push the value and the edges in this area, and leave this alone. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and also leave all the plants alone, because interestingly enough, what we're talking about with the water, you've already done, with like these.
Hey, correct. Right.
Yeah. See, even though this is probably the same color mixture,
Yeah,
pardon me, for some reason, the scale of this is smaller, it's more broken up. The edges here are more definite, right? And it's a
Yep.
stronger kind of shape. So, and it's against this intense color. So
Mhm.
this
Okay,
pulls forward.
right.
So if you could just do the same thing here in the water.
Yeah, I felt like I said, that it was working a little bit more with the foliage, but the water just looked like I put paint on my hand and slapped it on the paper.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is watercolor, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And did you use a reference for this, or is this kind of out of your head?
No, there was I got a series of pictures, and there's another one that has the waterfall and a more extensive landscape. So I just did this to try to get
Fine.
it's like my thumbnail, to try to get the technique of the waterfall.
Okay. All right.
I got a larger landscape that I want to put this in.
Okay. All right. So I would encourage you, I wouldn't change the scale or the size of it yet. I would go back and I would redo this, thinking about what we talked about,
Okay,
and see if you can be more successful at
right.
separating out, the foreground, the middle ground, and the background.
Uh-huh.
And if you're going to do that, basically do what we talked about. Where did it go? Yeah. Here in that foreground area of the water.
So doing a new one instead of trying to fix this one.
Yeah. I would encourage you to do that. Okay. Because while you're doing that, you can also adjust the intensity of the color here and mute that down so it's further back, and keep this as intense as you have it.
Correct.
Again, so you're problem solving. You're kind of working out.
Yeah, that's what this was supposed to be, right?
Okay. And so how big is this?
This is what is this one? This is 12 by 16.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's fairly large, actually.
Yeah, it is, right.
All right. So I would maybe
Do it on smaller scale.
Yeah, maybe even do it smaller than that.
Yeah.
Or do a series of smaller ones,
Right.
and really play with, how far you can push things,
Mm-hmm.
Forward and backward,
Okay.
space. Plus, it would give you a chance to play with mixing and modifying your greens so that
Mm-hmm.
you get
Right.
a wider variety of,
Yeah, well, I was thinking jungle, and I was thinking lush, and I was thinking basically almost the same tone and intensities.
Yeah, but even in the jungle, that doesn't really happen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because as soon as something gets, more than 20 to 30 yards away from you,
Right.
then, it begins to soften, Either
Right.
the edges soften, or it grays down slightly, or, it makes some kind of modification.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
One thing that you might want to think about too is using a little frisket on where the water comes down so you can get a clean background paper.
Yeah,
But,
it's true too. Yeah.
Using a what?
Brisket to mask off the paper, so that while you're working with your greens in the jungle and stuff like that, your waterfall is covered
Oh,
safely,
okay.
so that you don't contaminate it with spots of green and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to my drawing.
Yes. There we
Yeah,
go.
actually, I got there late. I didn't get there till 11:30. The model was already posed, and so I probably spent 20 minutes on this.
Okay. Yeah, and look, overall, you kind of got her proportions. you have her doing what she was doing up there, which was, you know, she was on that stool and kind of leaning back a little bit. You know, so it reads, as, you know, being pretty true to what she was actually doing up there.
Okay.
You know, I see where you're trying to vary your line and the pressure.
Correct. I'm trying, right.
Yeah, here. Well, and, in some places it's working really well for you. Others, maybe not quite so much. But you're getting the idea down. And that's the first key is you got to start somewhere, right? And so, really looking at and seeing those things and trying to actually work with them and put them down, it ain't easy. So, I want to encourage you to keep working with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, you're showing some progress there,
Okay.
which is what, ultimately what we want.
Right.
All right. So let's, we have Miss Jean Goldstein.
Oh, that's nice, Gene.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Now this was from Heritage Park.
Right.
Right. And this is Jean's view, and she's looking through some of the trees at the gazebo.
Right.
And, everything works pretty well. I mean, the gazebo sits back behind the trees. A lot of the trees come forward because of the contrast, the darker value. Plus, you have more texture up in here. So that really pulls this part of the tree forward. And all this yellow green that's kind of muted and stuff, all of that sits a little further back, doesn't it, Eloise?
Yes.
So therein lies my, my demonstration and my lecture in 2 weeks from
That's a
Thursday.
beautiful picture.
Yeah, and it's it's tightly cropped. She's got just a few elements in there. It's a really nice composition, actually.
Very nice.
Yeah, with the flower up here, and then the movement up to the gazebo, and then from there, how the limbs and stuff move across and pull your eye back over to here, and it really just keeps you kind of moving through the whole painting really nicely. So, Jean gets the A for the day for best composition so far.
Yeah.
Deserves it. Wow, that's nice.
That's acrylic.
No, this is watercolor.
I think it's watercolor.
Oh, it is watercolor. Beautiful.
I used what I think Bob suggested to you on the flower and put the background in behind it.
Right.
And then I did the flower so it would come forward over the green.
Yeah. No, it's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It works really well. And, it kind of feels like Heritage Park. You're standing out there, with all the trees over you and stuff like that. And you got a lot of that. That's good. We have Naomi. Is Naomi here?
I didn't see her.
Yeah, I haven't seen her so far. Yeah, we only got 6 of us. So this is a watercolor. I can pretty much so assure you. That
he's ready, don't.
Now Naomi has struggled for a very long time in doing people's faces, and she's kind of inconsistent. Sometimes, she can get the angles and things of the eyes and things like that, and the size of them correct. Other times, not so much. And this is one of these that it's not so much, okay? But, I keep going back with her about, I think a lot of it is that she's still looking at not the whole face, but parts. She gets really caught up in trying to do details. And because she's trying to do those details, she loses sight of the overall, proportion and what the light and the shadow are doing on those forms. So I guess, my recommendation to her would be, try to simplify this a bit, trying to make it look not quite so busy with the brushwork and stuff like that. And I think the simpler you can keep it and the softer, the more it will look like a young girl with a green hat on her head. So we got Rebecca, who is not here, but I want you guys to look at these anyway. Now, Rebecca and her husband went on vacation recently, and so I think they were down in Florida. So she had lots of time on her hands, and she she's doing all these studies of like pant legs and coats and things like that, and how they hang on the body, and trying to explore how do you make that leg feel like it's round or three-dimensional, like in this case. And like in this particular case, seems to work really well, actually. And the leg feels like it's coming up to the knee and then going back. Not quite so much on this one. A little more maybe on this one as well. So, she's really been working hard on trying to understand how to draw the figure. And this was that exercise that we talked about of, trying to use those simplified shapes and get them sort of oriented where they need to be in relationship to each other to begin to make this look like a figure that's moving. So, she's doing pretty good with that. These are her gestures, okay? And in just about every case, you can see where that long line is that she used. And she was pretty successful at, getting the line down there and then, drawing the rest of the figure to scale and, making it feel like it could be like a credible figure of some sort. Again, this is one of her, studies. This was the long drawing. And we were talking about value, building a value scale, things like that. So, she did a lot of that. We have, for a long drawing from the 17th. Okay. All right. This is John's drawing that we credited to Rebecca. Yeah. Really like these, these little face studies and character studies. Really nicely done. And of course, there's a whole nother page. So she's definitely, using, the sketchbook to, good, for good use. And she's, let's see, I need to do something about this.
Did she finish her children's book that she was illustrating?
Yes, she did. She did finish it. She printed it. She got it to her grandchildren, which was the target audience for that particular book. But then I think she's taken it further, and she's trying to get it, into the hands of a publisher, so that she can go ahead and kind of further the idea a little further along. So. She sent this in, just as a little bit of, wacky humor, a little, the chalk artist. So my nudes are over there in the gutter, probably where people's minds are. Let's see. And then I really love these. These are little experiments. She made these little strips of paper, and then she painted and experimented on them with spatter technique. And she said she's got others, but, she has to, cut them and fill them in, on the page. And again, you know, these are things that she can hang on to, that she can go back and refer to and look at for ideas.
You
And
do the bookmarks.
well, yeah, you could use them for bookmarkers if you want. Um, but you know, just as little things to kind of stimulate ideas. You know, they're
Bees or
great for that.
fish?
Pardon?
Fish. Are they bees or fish?
Fish.
That's what I thought.
I read them as fish, and then I read these as flowers.
I thought you said bees though, and I was trying to see what you saw. I didn't see.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think I said anything about bees.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought there was starfish.
Oh, these? Yeah, they could be. They could either be starfish or they could be flowers.
Leaves, anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when I looked at these, I kind of read them as flowers.
Yeah.
But she did, in her note, mention to me that, yeah, it's kind of a beach theme. So you're probably right. These are probably starfish. So, but these are definitely fish. These are what they call triggerfish, I think is what they're called. Here's more little shells and things that she drew at the beach. So pretty nice stuff, right?
Very
Right.
good.
Okay. Let's see. That doesn't have anything to do with anything about this class. And then here's Susan's figures. Okay. And again, so Susan, I see that you're, you know, putting down this light line to try to begin to get, you know, the gesture and the movement.
Yeah,
And-
I actually went back and traced over these because you couldn't see them when I took a picture of them. So
Okay.
I went back and I drew over them.
Okay. All right. Well, and to prevent you from having to do that in the future, try to get yourself a really soft pencil to draw with, like an ebony.
I've got a whole case of pencils, but
Yeah.
I just must have picked out the wrong one.
Right. But yeah, either use like a 4B, 6B, you know, all the way up to a 9B.
Okay.
Yeah, don't try any of the H's or anything like that. Make sure it's a B. And again, probably like 6 or darker would be preferable. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
And then well, here's your longer drawing. And you've given her some fruit, you know. So she's hanging out, she's gonna have lunch. And that's good, you know. See? You know, you're adding elements to it, you know, telling the story, you know, things like that. As far as the proportions and the movement and stuff, okay, you know, it's a little, you know, you've never heard me say this to you before, but it's a little, it kind of reminds me of an Egon Schiele drawing.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of your stuff does, you know, just kind of how, it's something about the line quality and angles and things like that. And that's, you know, that's actually a good thing, by the way. Since
And I forgot to send in one of my drawings. The other one is still here. I'll
Oh,
send
okay.
it.
Well, okay. So send it in, and you know, maybe next week, you know, we can get to it and look at it. But you know, but the feeling of the drawing, stuff like that, you know, is all pretty good. You know, the only thing I'd say is, you know, really watch your proportions. Like this leg here is foreshortened, and it looks, you know, it looks a little bent and broken instead. And then, you know, this is so short. The fact is, though, that in looking at that post, that's kind of what was going on. You know, this leg was angled down and much larger at the knee and much smaller back here by the hip. And then the calf was a little bit fuller in the upper part, and then the ankle got pretty thin because it's moving back and away from you, you know, where this one was coming forward toward us. So,
Okay.
but you know, I mean, it's a nice drawing. It really is.
Thank you.
Just like I said, try using a darker pencil.
Okay.
It could help.
Next time, I was in a hurry because I couldn't get into the class in time. because my
Mhm.
Zoom wasn't working. So that was kind of, so I got in late, about 10
Okay.
minutes late, already started. And I was just
All right.
picking up the first one. So,
Yes. Preparation and organization always helps, right?
but I just didn't think I would have trouble with the Zoom. The Zoom disappeared, so I had to reinstall it. I don't know where it went. But
Yeah.
okay.
I understand your pain. I've had my issues with Zoom as well. And yeah, it seems like, the more we go on, with Zoom, every once in a while, it gets really glitchy, right? And it just
Yeah.
doesn't work the way it's supposed to. The other big challenge for me with Zoom is the TV that we're using at the Benson Center. Sometimes it works perfectly fine with Zoom. Other times, not so much,
Yeah.
So,
And
technology, what are we going to do?
a couple days ago, I did actually find the Zoom. It was in another icon with another. There were like two of them together. So
Okay.
it was really crazy. But yeah,
Now, is this on your iPhone?
no, it's on my tablet.
On your tablet, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right. Well, that's it, folks. That's all I got. Anything we need to talk about? Are we going to solve any of the problems of the world, like world hunger, peace, anything like that today?
Probably not.
That stuff still goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, the enthusiasm for creating world peace in this group is fairly low.
We're a low key group.
Yes. We're gonna start. We're gonna start going by the name of the Mellows.
There you go.
There you go. How about that? All
Yeah,
right.
but these afternoon classes are close to nap time, so
They
that's why.
sure are.
Yeah, I can relate to that. So, all right. Enough said. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. And tomorrow in the morning, we're going to be talking about pushing paint around. Okay. And I've got a couple of artists to introduce you to, and, things you might want to see and maybe, even get inspired by, make you go out and try to push a little bit of your own paint around. That would be a good thing, right? So, anybody got any questions before we go away? Okay.
Nope, stay cool.
All right. Now, everybody knows that yesterday was Juneteenth, right?
Right?
Okay. Yeah, which is why we were not having a Zoom meeting. Okay. There were a couple of people who evidently did not get the memo, like Richard and Azam, and there are like two others. Anyway. But yeah, it was a holiday. But just keep in mind, this Thursday, no plein air. Okay. There will be a Friday class in the morning and in the afternoon. But okay, no plein air on Thursday. But that will pick up next Thursday after that. Okay?
All righty. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.
Here.